Thor. The god of thunder. The strongest avenger.
God of thunder.
Access denied.
Strongest avenger.
Access denied.
The hulkiest, handsomest lightning person. I don't know. Thor in Marvel Rivals is incredibly fun to play. And he has been my main since like day 0. I did an A to Z challenge when I first started playing this game, and he was one that stood out to me that was just so much fun. I mained him and instantly fell in love with his playstyle. So today, I'm going to give you absolutely everything you need to know to play Thor. All of his abilities, combos, tips and tricks that you might not know, animation cancels, how to play him, his role, everything, bad matchups, good matchups. So for your full, comprehensive Thor guide, stay right here, and I've got you covered. Skip to the parts if you feel like you know some of this already, because this is going to be a full beginner to advanced guide. So just skip ahead to the bits you want to, and let's fucking do it. So who is Thor, and how do you play him? What is his role? So Thor is what you would call an off-tank hero. He's an off-tank, specifically an off-tank bruiser, brawler hero. In Marvel Rivals, as we see the tanks here, you have, and in any games like this, you have a main tank and an off-tank. Main tanks are people like Strange and Magneto that have these big shields that then you can put up and soak damage. And they can stand in the front and absorb a lot of damage, so they can move forward and take that space front to back. That's a main tank. An off-tank are people like Thor, Cap, Venom, and these tank by taking away space and applying pressure. There's a couple of different types. You've got dive tanks like Venom and Cap. You've got kind of brawl tanks like Hulk and Thor. A bruiser basically just means they get in your face and they hit you like this, and they're just in your vicinity, and brawling melee is kind of the idea behind it. So with Thor, because of his mobility and versatility, he's classed as an off-tank that can take high ground, take space off, and apply a lot of pressure to pretty much anyone on the battlefield, honestly. But we'll get through that as we go through. But just so you understand the terminology, if I'm talking about that, this is where Thor is currently positioned, as a very high damage output bruiser off-tank. I'm going to run through all of the abilities for you now. So if you already know how his abilities work, then please feel free to skip ahead to the more advanced combos, tips, and tricks bit. But this is for anyone who doesn't really play Thor, doesn't really understand, and I'm going to talk you through every single one of his abilities and how they work. So let's start with his very simple left click, Mjolnir Bash. Now, normally we wouldn't talk about a left click, but this does have some extra functionality within his kit. Now, these 3 little hammers that you see in the middle are what's called Thor Force. And this is his main bread and butter and his resource management. As part of the ability, it says Thor Force, consume Thor Force to gain bonus health. Landing Mjolnir Bash on an enemy instantly recharges Thor Force. There are only 2 of your abilities that actually consume the Thor Force. And that is your dash and the Awakening Rune, which consumes all 3. It gains slowly over time, as you can see here, but you have lots and lots of ways now to restore that quickly and efficiently. One of them is the Mjolnir Bash, the left click. Whenever you use an ability that consumes Thor Force, so the dash or the Awakening, you will see that the hammer glows a little. If you can see, little froggy here has some little lightning around it. And this means that the Mjolnir is charged. When it's charged, your next hit will restore a full Thor Force, 1 full hammer. So you can see here, little froggy boy is charged up. We bash, and it restores a full Thor Force. This is going to be really important to know later on for when we talk about combos. If we do the Awakening, you'll see it more clearly. You get 1 back at the end of the Awakening. You see the little hammer is lit. Bash, full 1. So that's the left click, and that's important to know. The next thing is the hammer throw. This is his right click. It takes a second to come back to you in flight, but once it's in your hand, it then triggers a 5-second cooldown. I think it's actually 6 seconds by the time that it comes back to your hand. The important thing to know about the hammer is this also restores Thor Force. So if we use it here, blah-de-blah-de-blah, hammer restores 1 full Thor Force. You can see how clearly you can get your Thor Force back very quickly. So you pop it, then you hit them with the Mjolnir, and then hammer throw, you're back to 3. Because it is a restorative Thor Force ability, you don't gain the lightning hammer like you do on the dash, because it doesn't consume any Thor Force to do it, so you don't get the Mjolnir bash bonus. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about combos and stuff and when you're playing around with him. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit and talk about the Awakening Rune. This is his big bread and butter damage ability. So it consumes all 3 Thor Force, and it gives you 150 bonus HP. Now, when you use any Thor Force, we didn't talk about this, but when you use any Thor Force, it gives you 75 HP. So whenever you dash, you get 75 bonus health off dashing, up to a maximum of 750. When you pop Awakening, because your max can only go to 750, it doesn't give you 225, so 75 for each. It maxes out at 150. So you can only ever go to that maximum amount of health, okay? This consumes all 3 Thor Force, but will give you 1 Thor Force back on cancelling or ending. So if you look here, now you can end it early, which is a huge change for Thor from earlier iterations. But you can see on the left here, if I cancel it, I instantly get Thor Force back and my hammer is lit. Now, there's a couple of really important things to know about the Awakening Rune in and of itself without the Thor Force element. And that is, it does 70 damage each lightning hit. Throughout the course of the 5-second duration, you get 10 lightning strikes. So you can do 700 damage with one of these alone, right? Like this. One ability over the course of 5 seconds does 700 damage. But you need to obviously throw the first strike immediately to get all 10. So like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Just to show you on the wall here. 1, 2, 3, 4, break. 1, 2, 3, 4, break. 1, 2. So if you start it immediately and you're spam clicking throughout it, you will get 10 strikes. The other thing that not many people know about the Awakening Rune is if you pop it in close proximity to someone, it has a spell field damage effect of 15 damage a second. So 15 damage, spell damage field effect per second. It's not a very big range. It's very like melee. So this is why a lot of what you're going to want to do in quite a lot of combos is get in their face as a bruiser and be on top of them. Obviously, this is a great poking tool from far away, but you obviously don't get that spell field effect, right? So you definitely should be using it to pick people off, but we'll talk about more about playstyle later on. One last thing just to quickly talk about is my Crosshair. I will put the Crosshair code in the description, but let me just quickly show you this. The reason I have the Crosshair like this is because it shows the angle that the lightning travels. So you can see the lightning, as long as you roughly aim it around, it shows the angle that it's going to hit at, because the lightning from the Awakening throws out at an angle. Can you see? It throws at like a right-left angle. So the flat one in the middle tends to be the first, and then it's always centered around that kind of flat angle in the middle. So I'll put the Crosshair code in the description for you if you want it, but I just thought I'd show you that. His next ability, and most important one, is the shift. This is your dash. This is called Storm Surge. So this is your dash ability that you can wind up Mjolnir on here. And there's a couple of things I want to show you about this. Just from single tapping, you can get 10 meters with this. The longer you hold it, the further you go. So if we go about halfway, we go to about 15 meters. If we go all the way, the max distance is 20 meters. Okay? That's quite a big distance. If you hold it and don't use it, it doesn't use a Thor Force, which is a really nice quality of life change they did. It only consumes it upon actually dashing. So there are situations where you can just have this prepped in case, but you don't use it. You just have it prepped and ready for if you want to quickly go, oh shit, someone behind me, bam. Or you want to go, or you go like this and you're like, oh, look at this Iron Man, fuck him, right? The important thing about this, though, is it slows you as you're winding up. So this is your normal walking speed. And then you can see there's a slight slow as you're winding Mjolnir up. Okay, so just be aware of that slow as you're messing with this, okay? We talked about it consuming one full Thor Force, but this is an incredibly versatile ability. It's omnidirectional, so as you can see, you can go completely, I could go straight up. You can also go straight down with it if you want. You can just go straight down and plunge down. And the most important part of this is it has a knockback at the end of it. So if you hit someone with it, it displaces them and knocks them back with a mini stun as well as the damage. So when you hit someone with it, you do 40 damage as a standard. So if I just tap it and do this, quick tap, bada, 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 that's 40 damage. If you full charge it, you do 60 damage, right? 6-0. It also carries them an extra distance. So the knockback, if you quick tap it, will carry them 6 meters. As you can see here, right? Fully charged, I believe it's 13 meters. Yeah, like 13, 14 meters. So almost double the carry distance when it's fully charged. But obviously it depends situationally what's happening. So there are just some facts and figures to keep in mind when you're learning how to use this ability. Omnidirectional, carries them further the longer you hold, and does more damage the longer you hold. More often than not, if you're initiating, you're probably going to be full holding. But if you're escaping or you need a quick, let's say, for example, I pop Awakening, and then I'm like, oh shit, you're probably going to quick tap just to get the 10-meter distance out of the way. I quick tap a lot more than I hold because you have so many, now you have so many Thor Force regenerators that you don't really need to hold it, if I'm honest, most of the time. It's only if you've got that prep time and you're not being pressured that you can hold it and then really go for the attack, right? Or if you're trying to hit a flyer or something like that. Now, the last of the normal abilities to talk about is this, the Lightning Realm. This is his little bubble. As you can see, this little bubble here. Now, this restores Thor Force by the amount of people you hit. So, if I pop Awakening, blah, 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 and then I'm like, oh no. This hits one person, so it restores 1 Thor Force. If I do that again, but I hit both of them, it's going to restore both. Blah, 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 both. Now, there's a couple of hidden things about this ability. The way that it's phrased is summon lightning to restore Thor Force based on the number of hit enemies. Enemies leaving the lightning realm will suffer slow and grounded effects. What it doesn't tell you there is it also does damage upon leaving, which I believe is 40 damage. So if we look at this guy, as he leaves, he's taken a tick of damage. He's taken 40 damage. The spell slow, the slow effect is 30% when they leave that field. So if he comes in here, once he leaves, he's slowed by 30%, which is a lot. And this is going to come into play later as we talk about combos. But it's just something for you guys to be aware of because it doesn't list it or talk about it on the ability that you'll see in game. So this is a very good multifunctional tool. The other thing it does is it grounds. So for divers like BP and stuff, if they're in the field, if they leave the field, they will then be grounded. So if they're in the middle of it, it doesn't affect them. But if they suddenly leave it, they're going to be grounded for that duration as they leave the field. And I think it's 2 seconds, which can be really, really impactful. It can also help, obviously, bring down flyers as they're grounded. So it's a really multifunctional tool that you can use for a lot of different things. And we're going to talk about some of the combos you can do with it very shortly, including this one for the ultimate. So this is his ultimate called God of Thunder. You soar upwards and smite the ground after charging for a duration, inflicting damage and stunning enemies within range. When you pop this ult, you can pop this ult from anywhere. You could be like mid-air and you can pop it from there and it'll just like stay. But as you can see the tooltips, you can move up or down. So you can descend or you can ascend as you do it to gain height that you might need or lower height if you need to get under a bridge while you're doing it. The ultimate does 40 damage per tick, as you can see. 5 ticks. So quite a lot of damage. If you get all of that, 40, 80, 120. I mean, that's a good like 200 damage just off the back of that, right? 40 times 5, yeah, 200 damage. And then the slam at the end on its own does 220. You will one-shot most people if they're caught within that. The reason why you want to get used to using the Lightning Realm field, and this is the first of many of my very big tips here, is pretty much always make sure that if you're going to pop the ult, you pop the E slow field first. Because then it guarantees that you're going to get them. So it's like a guaranteed kill, unless they've got like a Lunar ult or like, you know, something like that. Because you're grounding them, you're slowing them, you're doing an extra bit of damage on top of all of the damage that you're already doing, and it'll guarantee the kill on most targets. So just get used to that as an idea. If like, make sure you're keeping an eye on your cooldowns, because cooldown management is quite important for Thor, but always make sure you're popping that spell field before. That's a really big tip of mine that I've personally found be way, way more effective. Obviously, if you see an opportunity and you see people grouped and you don't have the E off, like you don't have the E off cooldown, and there's a big group here from like, I don't know, like an Agamotto or something, and everyone's nicely grouped, then fuck yeah, pop it. If you see an opportunity, fucking pop it. Yeah, go for it, for sure. But if you're individually using it, there you go. And the ideal is you want to be getting the backliners, either forcing out support ults or guaranteeing kills on DPS or supports with this. Let's just quickly go over the team ups. I'm not going to go through the Hela team up, only because that's actually going to be getting removed in season 4.5, which is coming next week anyways. So it seems kind of silly to go through it. But if you do want to know anything about it, just drop me a comment and I will give you as much knowledge as I have on it. The other one, which is relevant to the Thor Force, is Angela. So what this does is it gives you an extra ability, and it gives you a spear. Now, if I turn my cam off here, you can see there's a little timer on the right-hand side, and this shows you when you can leap to the spear. At any point during that time, I can repress it and leap to do even more damage. But the main part about this is it also restores Thor Force. So if we pop Awakening, blah-de-blah, one hit restores it a little bit, but then it empowers your hammer to then restore another. So the exact wording on this ability, which you'll see in your team ups, is Angela shares fragments of her Ichas with Thor, empowering him to hurl a Thunder Spear that restores Thor Force for each enemy struck. Afterward, Thor can leap to the spear's explosion point, dealing a second wave of damage to all enemies within range. So obviously it's a big AoE, so you can hit multiple people with it. And the more people it hits, the more Thor Force it restores. So if we do this again, we're going to pop this. So it's not a full Thor Force, it's just a little bit. So don't rely on that as a Thor Force kind of, as a way to restore your Thor Force, but it's a nice little extra boon. The main part of this ability that makes it really good, this team up, is the ability to get in and out. So you can use it as an escape tool. You can use it as an initiation tool like this to initiate on someone and then dash out, because your dash is then not on that very mini cooldown. Whenever you use your dash, it goes on a shared cooldown of like 1 second. So if you need to instantly get in and out, you can use it as a kind of poking get in and out tool. So you could do something like this. You could dive in, bam, do a little combo, and then just dive out. So that's all of his abilities. So let's talk about how you use some of these combos, because there's one of the things about how you play Thor, and one of the reasons he is so good is he is incredibly versatile. And one of the reasons I enjoyed playing him so much is he is an incredibly versatile hero. But where I find him most effective right now in his current iteration, what I call the dive bomb Thor. The idea of dive bomb Thor is you're either on high ground or you can self high ground by dashing upwards. You drop onto someone, and I'm going to show you this with like a Luna because this is way easier to show you. You either get in position, find a high ground, or you just launch yourself in the air and over the top. You drop on top of them. You do this combo, which I'm going to teach you now, and you insta-burst them. So you can drop on them literally from anywhere, really. You do the hammer combo, I'm going to teach you in a second, and then you insta-burst. There's a couple of variations on this, depending on who you're playing into. You can even pop a spell field, just to guarantee they can't move out, and then do the combo. So let's start with teaching you this combo. The first thing, and the thing that I want you to practice first, more than anything with Thor, is going to be what's called an animation cancel combo. Now, animation cancelling in general is very similar for all heroes. A lot of heroes have them. In fact, most heroes have them. And all it is if you look at when, for example, Thor swings the hammer, you can see that he has a forward swing and a back swing. Now, all you're doing is using an ability to cut that animation down significantly. So if I show you without being on top of someone, I'm going to use the hammer throw for this. If you throw the hammer in between, it starts the hammer animation by interrupting the backswing animation or the attack animation of this. So quickly, it will look like that, right? Can you see what I mean? So this would be 3 attacks. This would be how long it would take normally, okay? Might not seem that long. This is the animation cancel 3 attacks. Look at how much quicker that is. And this is incredibly effective on Thor, more so than a lot of other people because of how you can use it intertwined with combos. Now, I want you to remember what we talked about with the Thor Force and how that can restoratively bring you back your Thor Force. So let's say you popped an Awakening, blah-de-blah-de-blah. So you're going to have the Empowered Mjolnir here to gain you 1 Thor Force back, and the hammer is going to gain you the other one. So by finishing off a combo with this, so finishing off an Awakening rune with this combo, you can instantly get back another Awakening rune. Awakening, 700 damage straight into the gut. Then you're going to do the animation cancel into another immediate Awakening rune combo. And you can do this pretty indefinitely. The Awakening rune itself has 5 seconds of uptime as you're using it. So assuming you don't cancel and you use the whole thing, the hammer throw has a 6-second cooldown. In between, you may have a second in between where you don't have it up straight away, but you're pretty much guaranteed to always have a hammer throw available, and in conjunction with the empowered melee, you're going to get your Thor Force back immediately. So, you can do this pretty fucking permanently. Hammer combo to gain Thor Force back, pop another Awakening. By the time this Awakening is finished, you're going to have maybe 1 second where the hammer needs to come back, then you've got another Awakening. So can you see, once you get used to how this functions, you're going to have permanent uptime on Awakening. And you can do this in real game scenarios, of course. You can just constantly do that. And if for whatever reason you've had to use extra Thor Force in between, maybe you get here and you've suddenly got to dash out and you're like, shit, then you can just use your E to gain that extra bit of Thor Force if you don't have your hammer cooldown. So let's go back to combos. We talked about the animation cancelling, and the way that you do this is dead simple. You do left click, right click, left click in quick succession. Like this. Once you get the timing down, you'll be able to see. So this is a bit weird because my hand is like showing you. So, but can you see the 2 instances of damage here that's happening on Groot's health bar just from quick double tapping? So I would suggest take the cooldowns off, just sit in here and just practice. Practice doing a little 1-2, right? You don't even need the 3rd swing if you don't want. But one cool thing you can do is do a double animation cancel with the dash. So you could do left click, left click, dash. Quickly, it looks like this. Can you see how much extra damage that is? So if you think about that in an actual scenario of just extra piled on top damage, so it's not nearly as effective as the hammer one, but you can definitely use this because your hammer will be on cooldown. You can definitely use this as like an afterburner into an E, into Awakening. So if you wanted to do a full combo of that just from pure animation cancel, so you can do E into an Awakening, because the E will give you the Thor Force back that you just used on the dash to then use that if you wanted. So we talked about the drop down, this combo, the drop down. You can even do this as like drop down on top of them, drop the E, and then ult over the top. That's another way to combo. I do this quite a lot, particularly if I'm like, let's say I'm on a high ground and I see a support below me. I just drop the E into an ult easy pickings. Easy pickings, right? But I'm hoping that you get to see how versatile Thor really can be in terms of comboing. His abilities combo really, really well with each other and make some really fascinating ways to play around him, right? Especially with the Angela team up as well. So I've shown you the animation cancel. I've shown you my eagle drop from dropping above, like this. I've shown you the permanent awakening combo. One of the other things you can do is bully the tank. So your dash is a displacement tool. We talked about how effective this is as a displacement. So you can do something like this, right? You can walk back with them, maybe drop an E to slow them down, and just keep pumping it out. As soon as that comes off cooldown, you keep pumping them back, and just like, you know, throw some hammers in between. But basically, you're blocking them from getting back to their team. So if this is particularly effective if you're like round a corner and you're not being looked at by the rest of their team. You can just consistently bully this tank and basically isolate them in this 1v1 that they will never, ever win. If you are playing Thor correctly, and the reason why he is such an effective off-tank right now is that you will never lose a 1v1 if you play it properly. If you manage your cooldowns and your bonus HP from using the Thor Force properly with the Awakening Rune, for example, you should never lose a 1v1 with this guy, ever. With the amount of utility you have between the hammer throw combos, the awakening, the dashing, the bonus HP, the slowdown, the grounding, he has so much effective utility, damage, bonus HP and damage, you will never lose a 1v1. So this can be a really effective way to bully a tank. So before I just show you a couple of matches, just to give you an example of this, like in real world scenarios, with like a couple of full games to show you this as I talk you through it. Let's talk about good and bad matchups and why they are good and bad matchups. For the tanks, the only really bad matchup is obviously Emma Frost, as she is for most tanks. The reason for this is obviously she can like track you if you're trying to dive in their backline or death drop on one of their supports or something. She can very easily track you. She can very easily mark you, and then her choke kind of is a death sentence in a lot of times. Unless you're very high HP and you can dash out afterwards. If she's got you in that chokehold and then into a kick, with a bit of extra damage, you're most likely dying. So Emma is a really difficult... You can burst her down, though. You can use your awakenings to help burst her very effectively. But she is definitely probably the most difficult tank to play into. Thing, obviously, can be a bit of a pain with the grounding. However, Thor is actually really good at helping burst Thing down quickly. Good Thing players will often have their run up, so their Clancy charge, whatever it's called, Street Clancy charge, so you might not always get it, but he is a very effective way to burst down Thing. Just be careful of the grounding and stuff. It can be difficult. All the other tanks are absolutely fine. Penny can be really difficult because it's quite hard to take out the Penny nests, but your Awakening can do it pretty effectively as long as she's not body blocking. But you obviously, he's a bruiser. He's a melee bruiser. He kind of needs to get in on them, and the Penny Nest, as particularly with the new slow, can make it very, very difficult. I think Hulk can sometimes be a really annoying matchup, mainly because of his bubbles. You can do a really good job on the other side of that matchup in bursting a Hulk down, but his bubbles can often be the difference maker between your ult being effective, because it does all of that damage. It does 220 damage on the drop, so those shields can mitigate all of that if their kind of Hulk is in position and ready. And in general, his bubbles can soak up a lot of your awakening, which can be really annoying. But apart from that, most other tanks are very easy. I think Strange is very easy to burst through. Strange is another one you can just absolutely bully because he's reliant on his shield. You can just drop on him, drop behind him, pull him into your team, drop an E if he tries to go up in the air, dive up to him, bully him, hit him with a couple of autos, awakening, you can burst him very easily. Supports-wise, I think Invis is very tricky because she has a lot of ways to... The shield can be very effective against your ultimate. And her push is also really effective for if you're diving on them. She can just push you away or pull you even and interrupt your dash. You're kind of in their backline, they're pummeling you, and you're like, oh, fuck, I need to dash out. And then suddenly you get pulled back into their team, and you're like, oh, fuck. Now I don't have the Thor Force or a couple of seconds to dash out, and can quite often lead to your death. So invis can be quite tricky. Loki can be really annoying with the lamps. But other than that, most supports are fairly easy to play around. Obviously, Mantis Sleep, Lunar Stun can be irritating, but if you drop from above, more often than not, you can get the kill before they can react to you. Or if they do, you've done a very significant amount of damage to be able to then just dash back out and go again now that their cooldown is off. So you can play around it fairly easily with these two. Cloak is fairly easy as long as you can track them a little bit. You can burst them very easy. Adam is a fucking cakewalk. This guy melts. Ultron can be irritating, but you can burst him down if you're good with your awakening. And I think Thor is actually very effective against Jeff in general because, again, Jeff is quite reliant on his survivability. And even if he's underground, if you get your awakening hits off, it's too much burst damage for him to deal with. Now let's talk about DPS. There are 3 DPS particularly that I think are a very big difficulty for Thor to deal with. One is Squirrel Girl. The reason for this is Squirrel Girl can kite you very easily by, as soon as you dash in on her, she cages you with the squirrels, and then you're kind of fucked. You just have to sit there and take it. You can't dash out. You can't maneuver around it. You've just got to sit and take it, and quite often will lead to your death. She's one I really despise playing into, personally, as a Thor main. The next one is Hela, for a very similar reason, but she can kite you very effectively while putting out an absurd amount of damage. So if the Hela is good, she can stun you out of a dash. So if you try and get on top of her, she can either bird out, so she's home free before you can kill her, or she just uses that little stun to interrupt any dashing or thing you might want to do. She just walks backwards and kites you and headshots you. You can kill her, of course, and you can burst her down, but that matchup can go both ways. So just be aware diving on a Hela can be a little bit tricky. And last but not least, the most broken hero right now, in my opinion, or one of the most, maybe outside of Torch, Winter Soldier. And this is fairly obvious why, I think, for any of you that know Winter Soldier. The grab can interrupt anything you want to do. Aside from the ult, where you are CC immune, he basically has so much anti-dive kiting. He is maybe the only one that I would argue could 1v1 a Thor and win. I would also say maybe Mr. Fantastic can be a bit annoying, just because he has a lot of survivability in between his square boy. But you can burst him down in big boy, so again, that can go both ways. And maybe Namor. Just because the squids, you don't really want to expend an awakening trying to kill the squids. So you're kind of relying on your other DPS to deal with that. But other than that, I think Thor is pretty good. I'm going to play a couple of games now. Throughout this, obviously, we've been showing you how this works, like, in games. But I'm going to show you just a couple of, like, game examples. I'm going to play a couple of quick plays randomly right now to show you how this kind of works in functionality in-game. And I will talk you through my thought process as I'm doing it, so you guys can get an idea of how I'm viewing the game when I'm playing Thor. Just a quick note to say, obviously at the time of recording, this is season 4. So any seasons after that, if you're watching this in future seasons, obviously things might have changed. So just bear that in mind as you're watching this video, but hopefully the base things that I'm teaching you can work throughout, and you will be a Thor master in no time. Already, we've got an Angela team up, which is lovely, lovely, lovely jubbly for me. We got a Namor, so I'm going to get rid of these squids early, which isn't really my role, but... And this is where I want to start to bully the Strange. So he was a bit out of position. I did miss my dash, so if I'd have got that dash off, like this, now we can pull him apart. So now we can just, bully this guy. Oh, never mind. The Hulk came at me as well. Now I've got my ult, so I'm going to wait for my E cooldown here. In fact, I'm just going to go for it. Because I know that Namor doesn't have his Buble. Not really sure what that Jeff's plan was, but... Okay, we actually got it, which is crazy work. So we're going to go to the high ground here. This is going to be a good drop spot. And we're going to drop on these supports like so. Focus the Jeff. He's the one I want. Oh, I shouldn't have ulted there. I should have ulted way sooner, actually. I thought I could kill the Jeff before I died, but I couldn't. So instead, we'll kill the Angela with a nice little combo. Drop on the Luna. Insta-dead. That's a double. So can you see the value of the death drop? No one is really looking above them. So the death dropping is so effective. It's easily like my #1 go-to on Thor because of how often it works. Just like every time. So she goes in, we drop the E to get the extra damage, the slow, and the grounding, and then we just pop the combo immediately. So if I know that they're here, I'm trying to build up my Thor force as well. I'm going to target this Jeff. Make sure I've got my full built up. Sometimes Jeff can be really tricky, so you do need to make sure you're tracking your awakening well. Cool. Oof. You can see where the Emma there is doing a good job of like keeping on top of me there, making it a bit more difficult. I'm actually not going to use this. I'm going to use the Angela team up. It's stuck in him as well right now, so I can kind of dive on him when I wanted. But you can see the pressure that I'm putting out, right? Just by being like where I am and in this back line, making it so hard for these supports to like stay alive and do what they want to do. Target the DPS, make sure this Phoenix has nothing. And you can see, you just drop the E down on them. If you know you're not going to use an ult, because obviously we talked about using that E for the ultimate to guarantee ult kills. But if you know you're not going to use it for the ult, using it to secure a kill is like insanely good. So we can do this right now. There's a bit BM, but maybe in their spawn is a bit BM, but we're doing it. And then I've still got so much to play with. And you can see we started out really bad. That first hold was really tough. Changed the priority ever so slightly. Won the point. Easy done. If they're doing triple support, I normally recommend death dropping because they're just going to keep their tanks up no matter what. And if you can take one of them out, you're going to like have huge impact. But let's say they're doing like a 2-2-2, and especially on somewhere like this is a really good example. Right now is, let's say they're going to come in this corridor. I can just immediately, as soon as they show, start poking them down. Throw out some damage in the front side. Make them have to burn cooldowns, burn shields, burn like whatever of their resources. And then if I want to, I'm going to have a Thor Force to dive in on them after that. So I will have one Thor Force to dash in on them afterwards and then combo them if I like. So we see this Angela poking. So we're going to poke their back line a bit. And if I wanted to now, I could dash in and combo them, but I don't need to. So I'll do it on the Venom instead. Although he gets out before I finish the combo. So I'm going to wait for, see if they do anything. We're going to use the lightning field to dissuade any further diving. Put out some deeps. I use the hammer there just to try and get back. And now we're going to go on the backside. And out we go again. So we burn cooldowns and we get back out. And you see what I mean by 1v1ing? So, okay, she's going to kidnap me. So I'm just going to do this. That's absolutely fine by me. She just brings me in nicely. We can now peel for the Venom to make sure he can't get the same value on my backline. So like right now, for example, I know that this Venom is going to be diving. So I'm staying kind of near my supports and then peeling if I need to, using all of that resource to completely burn him down even through his E cooldown. Now we're going to pop the lightning. Punny can be really good against you, by the way, if he can get his shotgun off. So do be aware of Punisher as well. He can sometimes be kind of difficult to play into if he's doing well with his shotgun timings. But you can see how much Venom just gets absolutely fucking wrecked by my shit. Easy kill on the rocket. And then I can keep the awakening going. So can you see like the crazy output that you can have on Thor? And as long as hopefully you guys are getting an understanding of how easily and naturally that hammer combo comes to me in the right situations. So we're just going to kite back a little bit. Use that dashing. Use that HP. Now we can burn again. Using that awakening. Not my cleanest. We peel now for the Venom trying to dive in. So I'm going to chase their backline here. Force out a Cloakle. We're going to get back and try and peel backwards to my team over here. I don't want to get caught out by the Jeffel either. And now the Cloakle's gone, we can dive on the backline again. Force out Rocket Ult. There goes the Rocket Ult. Oh, I'm kind of stuck in with Angela right now. Okay, well, I forced out 3 ultimates to do that. You can see that hammer combo there gets me the resources I need then to pop my awakening again. This is a full team here, so probably not good. No, not good. The full team was there. That was my bad. I kind of knew that as I was doing it. As soon as I kind of popped it, I popped my ult as well there, which was really, really, really bad. That was a very dumb choice. So don't do that. Don't dive into a full team like I just did. That's a very, very dumb choice. That's what not to do on Thor. And sometimes when you're playing these divers, you guys will know this. Sometimes when you're playing this like backline sitch, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Sometimes you are just gonna oh, nice Jeffel. Sometimes you are gonna kind of fuck up. So I need more HP, so I'm gonna back out. Make sure I've got enough Thor Force to at least have 1 dash and get back to my team. We'll let them have this cloak room. Wait this out, and now I can go on them. So even though the Scarlet Witch just got mega value off the backside, I still got value from killing the cloak. Force out a bunch of Luna util. No, the Venom's on point, so he's now solo. I've still got resources to get back and get out. Get back to my team, but I stall it out, right? This Punisher sitting on the backline is also a massive pain in the dick. So I'm going to go and try and kite here, seeing as he's using Judge, Jury, Executioner anyway. I don't really want to be in the Punisher sight line. That's what I'm looking for right now. They're going to come through the portal, so I'm going to drop it right now. I should have kind of gone under that then, but... And just make sure I block anyone else coming through that, and there we go. Easy. We can reset a little bit. I'd love some Heelys, if you've got it. There we go. They've changed to an Iron Man. But these very quick, like, bursty, particularly on supports, you can see... You know, hopefully you can see in these games how fast I can burst down supports. It's things like Rocket, Jeff, like these very like squiggly, difficult heroes to hit are insanely easy for a Thor to get on top of. Don't be afraid to sit on someone's face. Huh? Quote me on it. Do not be afraid to sit on someone's face. But get used to this mouse flick up. Where you mouse flick up to get height. That's gonna be important for you. You can see how quickly Angela goes down, and we're just gonna Thor diff this guy real quick. And now there are no tanks, and they're so free. Can you see how much freedom I have? The tanks go down, we kill both the Thor and the Angela, and then I can just free dive on that backside, of course, and I re-engage. There's the pullback that can be difficult to deal with sometimes. Finish off that magic. And then just Widow doing Widow things. And then I pull her off. Don't get to play this map a lot. And we're running a triple tank with Angela. So in this kind of scenario, I think my role here is just to like... Because the Angela is going to be getting in their face as well and kidnapping. So I feel like my role here is just to get in their back line and be really annoying, or to burn their front line. And as they kind of walk in, I'm going to just throw some shit down the lane. There's an Emma, so that is going to be a bit annoying. Okay, this is going to be a good example of how we can use this into a BP for sure. So my job is going to be, I'm going to mark this BP and make it really tough for him to play this game. Oh, there's the grab. So yeah, this is why, as you see, like I don't really want to get in the Emma's face because she can just grab me and kill me. So as long as the Angela can like keep the Emma busy, I can punish the rest of them. Like this. You can see how low they all are, just and how effective my bubble is. For like, my E is so good against the BP, and you can see how effective it is, right? When he tries to dive through it, he gets slowed, he gets grounded, and then I can just pop a couple and burst him. So I think Thor is also a really good anti... This is... I'm glad I'm showing you this. It's kind of another side to Thor, this kind of anti-dive peel that you can do. So I can like sit on my supports right now. Pop a bubble down preemptively, just in case they were going to dive in. And then as soon as he pops in, you see it right there, right? I can't track the fucker, but... I immediately try and dash on him and interrupt his combo. There's the same for Spider-Man. And then just burst him down. And you're seeing it time and time again, right? And this is... This, again, is like showing his versatility. It's showing how effective Thor can be in so many different scenarios. His only real weakness is his survivability a little bit and his ability to front side tank as a main tank. It's kind of his only weakness, to be perfectly honest with you all. We're going to ignore the mag, and I'm going to try and get on this backside here. And you can see them peeling back. Like, I don't even need to actually do it. But because they're peeling backwards anyway, because of my potential pressure... It's enough to allow the rest of my team to move in on the front side. And now, when they're not expecting it, now I can jump in. And then we just get a nice little, combo off, and there we go. Easy peasy. That's a situation as well that I talked about before, where sometimes you go in with the intention of using your Awakening Burst combo. But then I just see the opportunity for the ult. So I pop the ult because I see that opportunity there. So I decide to go for it. And it works out. Do you see what I mean by Hela being a really difficult hero to play into as Thor, though? Like, the kiting that she can do to make it more tricky is like... You can see how much damage she's doing. I'm only just surviving by the skin of my teeth. Yeah, this one's a little more tricky, just because if you look at what my team are running. Thor is not a good solo tank, and hopefully this game kind of shows you why, but... there's some good examples in there for you, so... I think that should be enough. Hopefully that's more than enough to show you how good Thor can be. But there are obviously scenarios where you can't make it work, you know? So now armed with all of that knowledge that I've just taught you on how to play Thor, try him out in your games. He's really, really good right now in Season 4. This is your time to shine. If you enjoy the God of Thunder, let me know how you get on in the comments. Let me know if you have a pop-off game. Are you enjoying him? Any other combos you found that you really like? Situations, you know, heroes that you found difficult to play into. Like, let me know. I'm all here for this. If you enjoy this kind of educational content, I'm going to be doing a lot more to do with both streaming and with Marvel Rivals. So we'll be doing some more hero guides, game guides, stuff like that. So I really hope you enjoy the video. And don't forget to subscribe because we are very close to 1,000 subs. And we might be able to get YouTube partners soon. So I really hope you enjoyed the video. It's a very long one today, but thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!